Okay, guys, this is the weekly outlook video for this week, Monday 31st to 4th of November. So, as usual, we are going to start with DXY. Okay, let's start with a preview. Should I say preview or yeah, a preview of last week's price action? Or a review rather, a review of last week price action. Last week I mentioned that, of course, I mentioned that I was this low is likely going to be taken, and then this low. Okay, my expectation last week was that price was going to drive back into discount, and then from discount, I would by the time price trades into premium rather, okay, by the time price trades into premium here, somewhere around this level, that was last week, okay. And then I would look to frame a long on EU and GU, but I didn't get that move into premium. Okay, instead, it rejected from this 4-hour fair value gap and dropped lower. Okay, but ultimately it still reached for the targets I was looking for last week was this low, and potentially this relative equal highs and the daily fair value gap. Okay, so unfortunately, I didn't really make anything out of last week move. I missed the whole of the move on EU and GU. Okay, because I was a little bit low on confidence. I didn't want to. I wasn't too comfortable with the fact that price didn't return to premium, but it was already moving. Okay, especially on Tuesday, I think there was a clear um long setup on EU and GU, but I didn't take it because I wanted a deeper retracement, so I missed out on that. So before continuing with the weekly outlook, let me quickly say talk briefly on the little modification I'm making to my trading plan. Um, for those of you that might have watched the video on the one shot one kill setup that I am now using to trade. Previously I used to scalp. I used to trade intraday, just looking for small price swings in and out. But I have transitioned from that trading style to short-term trading, okay, where I hold my trades for longer. Okay, maybe I take a trade on Monday or Tuesday. I hold it for the rest of the week to catch the weekly expansion. So and when I did that, I changed my risk parameters from 0.25% to 1%. And I think to some extent that has impacted a little bit on my performance. Initially, I felt okay, maybe it is because of the one shot one kill. Perhaps I should go back to intraday trading or short term scalps where I am just in and out and in and out. But when I was reviewing my journal, what I've realized is that the reason why I have been a little bit low on confidence the past few weeks, especially this month, like this month is the first month I'll be ending the month in a drawdown, a little bit of a drawdown of 0.6% for the month. And I do think that the reason is because I am using 1%. So on a norm, trades that I would normally take, I mean, if I get stopped out, for example, I take a trade, I get stopped out, perhaps because my stop loss is too tight, I don't tend to re-enter again because now I'm using 1%. So you have a 1% loss, you want to be extra careful, even though they are clean setups, okay, for continuations, even though the trade is still very valid because you're trying to no, I'm trading a prop firm account, okay, and the drawdown rules, the 5% drawdown, daily drawdown rule and the 10% overall drawdown rule for FTMO is pretty tight. So if I'm using 1%, I cannot afford to just take any trade. So you have to be extra careful. For example, last week I took just one trade, I think. I took just one trade, which was playing out initially and then reversed and it took me out. Okay, so um I would be reducing my risk to 0.25%, despite the fact that I'm still trading one short, one Q setup. I think that using 0.25% will allow me to trade more confidently. Okay. Um, Even if I miss out on my initial entry, I can I'll feel more confident to take continuation entries, and I would recommend you should do the same. Okay. I can then scale in into my position. Like when I'm entering the first position, I'm going to use 0.25%, and then I'm going to scale in with 0.25% with maximum of 1% on the particular day. Okay, in one day, I don't want to have more than 1% at risk. Okay, so I think that this small modification I've made to my trading plan would go a long way in helping me regain my confidence, because the truth is I'm really very low on confidence right now. I would say a clean setup and I wouldn't take it. I would say continuation setup and I wouldn't take it. Sometimes when you expect that price is going to reach for a particular PDRA, and let's assume that the POI where you intend to enter did not, price didn't get there, okay, and price has started moving. Okay, I'll feel more confident to still enter if price retreats into another POI, okay, even though it is not my original POI. Okay, so that's the modification I said I was going to make to my trading plan on the Telegram channel, and I will share the Notion file today. I'm done moving my journal from the trading plan to different page on Notion. So I will share the link to the group chat today. Okay. So if you're not on the Telegram channel, maybe this is your first time of seeing this video, feel free to join. It's a free channel. I'm going to drop the Notion link to my trading plan. Okay. Some of you have been asking in the comment section as well. So I'll drop that later today. Okay, so that said, let's go into the analysis for this week price action. Okay, as usual, I'm going to start with the weekly time frame. On the weekly time frame, the important levels to pay attention to is, of course, we have this weekly order block, right? And we have price has bounced from this daily order block. So that's the body of the daily, the weekly order block. Price tapped into it and then we got that bounce. So my expectation is that we'll probably fill this imbalance and then drop lower into this weekly fair value gap. That may not happen in 1 week, obviously. So over the course of the next few weeks, that is what I would be expecting. I'll be expecting a drop into this weekly fair value gap. All right. So let's go to the daily time frame. Okay, on the daily time frame, look at this relative equal lows. Go to low time frame, you see it more clearly. This is the daily fair value gap. I think that the daily fair value gap is going to be drawn liquidity for this week. Okay, so we have small tiny fair value gap at this level. We have another daily fair value gap in here. So my expectation is that price would reach for this daily fair value gap and then reject from there. We also have this small daily, let me use this. Okay, I think I will use this. We have this daily order block as well, but I don't think price would actually even get here. and it might, but I don't expect it to. My expectation is that we'll probably fill this fair value gap and then reject from there to this daily to clean out these lows and this daily fair value gap. Okay. Now, if you go to the 12-hour time frame, okay, we have this, right? We have this um fair value gap right here. Now, so it might go all the way to this level. Right now, let me show you something also on the daily time frame, depending on whether or not this is filled. Okay. If this remain open and we just get a straight drop to this fair value gap, then we know that this would then become a draw on liquidity for the upside. Okay, so but I would expect now, because of this fair value gap before this, price might just reject from here and just drop lower, form some kind of Judas swing for the week, and then bounce from there to come up fill it. Okay, the reason why I'm thinking like this is because this week is NFP week and this week is also FOMC week. Okay, so I mean anything can happen really, but my first expectation is that we're going to feel this. So maybe on Monday, Tuesday, we have a rise into this level and then rejection Wednesday through Thursday, Friday to take out this low, and fill this fair value gap. Okay, that would be my expectation for the week. Okay, so if we go to the 4-hour time frame, um, this is the daily fair value gap, the high, the low, and this is the 12-hour fair value gap I showed you. This is the relative report lows I was referring to on the daily time frame. Okay, so this is actually a market maker um sell profile. This is initial consolidation, runaway, smart money reversal, accumulation, and then I think the last leg is going to be this week. Okay, the last leg that will complete that sell profile is going to be this week. So I would expect something like this. So maybe we form some kind of, we have this 4-hour order block. Okay, so we might get a bounce. We would, like we might get a bounce from this 4-hour fair value gap to fill this daily fair value gap, maybe form a high on Monday and then Tuesday takes out Monday's high, and then we have some kind of shift in market structure and bounce from, they'll come back to fill this. Now, I'm not quite sure what is likely going to happen in the daily fair value gap, but I think we should get some kind of bounce from here. I believe. I believe we should get a bounce from here. Okay, so something like this is what I'll be looking for. Okay, this will be my expectation for DXY for this week. Yeah, so I would have to watch the price action that develops around this level to see if we would get a bounce or not. Okay, um, because this relative equal lows right here that is just below the weekly fair value gap. Ultimately, I think price is going to get here, but whether or not we're going to get a bounce here first before it gets in here, I don't know. So, but what I think I would expect is, I think we'll form a high on Monday, Tuesday sweeps the high, then we get a rejection for the rest of the week, and then maybe we'll get a bounce. Maybe in this process, we're going to form some kind of fair value gap, maybe weekly fair value gap or daily fair value gap, and then the following week we get a push into it and then come for this. Okay. Well, I'm thinking a bit too far. Best to just take it one level at a time. But for this week, my focus is this daily fair value gap and this daily fair value gap. So my expectation is that price will just push up to this level and then drop in here. Whether or not we are going to get a bounce from here, I really don't know. Okay, I really don't know. But ultimately, I think price should get here. Okay, we might get a bounce here first before coming here, but and we might just get a little bounce and then attack this low this week possibly. But I really don't know. Let's see. Let's see how price develops. I'm always going to update you guys on the Telegram channel, right? So let's move on to EU. Now, before we look at EU's price action, let me show you the seasonal tendency for this month, this month rather, or next month for November, December. Okay, as you know, the seasonal tendency is one of the things that I pay attention to when I'm trying to determine my weekly, monthly directional bias. Okay, so if we look at, let's start with DXY. Okay, if we look at the seasonal tendency for DXY, we can see that DXY um is this DXY? This should be um yeah, I think this is DXY. DXY is, I think there's a little bit of a mistake here. I think DXY should be bearish for November and December, so I don't think the right hand side is correct. I must have misplaced it. Let me see if I can change that. Um, DXY. Yeah, I think this should be the correct one. Okay, so the seasonal tendency for DXY for November and December is, it is trying to correct this. Okay, discovering that. Okay, I think this is good. Yeah, so if we look at the seasonal tendency for November on DXY, we can see that it is a little bit, more like a consolidation month. But ultimately, we can see it is relatively bearish. Okay, and then December is very bearish. Okay, so um, December is like the most bearish month of the year for DXY. So from November moving into December, I would expect that we'll see lower prices on DXY. Now let's check. This is EU. This is EU. EU is also. This is where I misplaced it. I think. Yeah, this is where I misplaced it. I hope I know where I'm coming. This is GU. I think I've misplaced this. I didn't, when I was putting the designs together. I made a mistake with that. Sorry about that. But ultimately, the summary of what I'm trying to show you there is that um, DXY is relatively bearish for November and December. Okay, and bullish for EU and GU. Okay, so let's go into my expectation for EU for this month. I mean for this week. As usual, we start from the weekly time frame. Okay, there isn't that much to see on the weekly, but I will draw your attention to this other block. I think that we are going to see a return to this other block. Okay, so let's go to the daily time frame. On the daily time frame, we have this bullish order block. Okay, this bullish order block, we have this fair value gap. So my expectation is that we'll fill this fair value gap, right? And then we'll get a bounce, perhaps tap into this bullish order block, and then a bounce from there to take out this high and potentially this high. Okay, and maybe tap into this, fill out this imbalance. Okay, and perhaps a rejection from there. Now, if we go to the 12-hour fair value gap, we have, 12-hour time frame rather, we have this 12-hour fair value gap right here. I think this will play some kind of role going into this week. How that is going to play out, I really don't know. But first things first, I would expect that maybe we'll form some kind of order block on Monday, Tuesday, and then the other block will then act as a catalyst that will take out this fair value gap to take out this high, and you know into this 12-hour fair value gap. Okay, so let's go to the 4-hour time frame. I don't want to go into the lower time frame. Of course, if we're going to look for entries, you have to go to the low time frames for confirmation. But my expectation for issue here is that we are going to now. Let me draw your attention to these relative report highs here. Okay, these relative report highs, I believe that this is a really strong draw on liquidity, and I think it will eventually get taken out. Okay, so that is what I'm going to be looking at for this week. So maybe we see something like this, a drop into this daily fair value gap, perhaps into this um daily order block, maybe not, and then shift in market structure to take out now this 12-hour fair value gap. We might get a bit of a rejection from here, and then take out the relative equal loss and into this 12-hour fair value gap. Okay, so I'm bullish for the week. That's the summary of this. I'm bullish for the week. My expectation is we'll have a Judas swing to the downside and then bounce from there to take out this high, these relative equal highs as well. Okay, so that is that for EU. For GU, if we go to the now, I don't really like the fact that we gapped down. Okay, gapping down is a sign of weakness. On weekly open is a sign of weakness, and it's something to pay attention to really. When I'm expecting bullish price action, I like to see a gap up, okay, and not a gap down, right? Similar to last week, Um, can see last week we had a gap up and can see the week was bullish. Now that this week is opening with a gap down, I don't like that. Okay, I don't like that. But well, let's see how it develops. I'm gonna update on the group chat. Okay, if I see something different. But if we go to the weekly time frame, we have this tiny little fair value gap in here. We also have this fair value gap here as well, and we have this weekly bearish order block. Okay, so I think eventually price will trade into this level, okay, before we see a rejection, right? If we go to the daily time frame, we have this daily fair value gap, we have this daily bullish order block, and we have this tiny little fair value gap in here. Price has filled it, bounced from there. So perhaps we have this well, now is not another block. So I think we'll probably get a rejection. Now, if price continues up and takes out this high, then I think I'll switch my bias to bearish for the week. But for now, I expect that the wish is going to be bullish. So I'll expect some kind of drop down to this fair value gap, bullish order block, bounce from there to take out this high, these relative equal highs, and potentially this weekly fair value gap. Okay, let's go to the 4-hour time frame. So this is a 4-hour fair value gap. I was expecting a drop into last week to take a long. For those of you on the Telegram channel, but I didn't get that drop. Okay, I wanted to see a move into discounts to take a long, but I didn't get it, so I missed out on it. So um the daily order block, this is the daily order block, is at this level. The main threshold of the daily order block will be somewhere around this level. So what I would expect is that this week we will get a Judah swing to the downside. Um, Now we have this order block. This is a daily low as well. You have the daily fair value gap. This order block prevents from reaching here. I don't know, but I don't think so. But what I would expect for this guy is that we will probably have something like this, a drop down into this level, you know shift in market structure, and then bounce from here, and perhaps this fair value gap as well. Now we may continue to the upside and come for this fair value gap and then reject lower. Okay, now, but that's not what I would be expecting. But I'm also looking at that scenario. Okay, we might just get a Judah swing to the upside for the week into this fair value gap and then rejection from there to come for this daily fair value gap. The reason why I'm thinking this is because we are entering a new month, and I expect the month to be bullish for GU and EU. And if the month is bullish, generally the first week of the month will form the Judas swing for that month, which ideally would be a drop down to the downside. Okay, so that's why I'm thinking that we might get a continuation to this level and then reject from there to attack this low. Okay, so will that happen? I don't know, but this is what I would be expecting. Drop down, then attack this level, and then maybe we'll see rejection from there. Now we have a week with two big high impact news events, so we might get a big range and we may not. But the first scenario I'm looking at is a drop down into this fair value gap, bounce from there to attack this weekly fair value gap, this high, um, this relatively poor highs as well. Okay, this relative just like EU, this relatively poor highs. I think it is a strong draw on liquidity. So drop down, attack this level. That's what I'm expecting for GU. For which other one? Okay, US 500. We have this daily order block, right? And we have this daily fair value gap. If we go to the weekly time frame, we have this weekly order block. Okay, so I think we'll see some kind of rejection when price trades into it. So let's go to the 4-hour time frame. So my expectation is that we'll probably fill this 4-hour fair. There's another one down here. So will it come for this? No, I'm not quite sure, but at least I will expect that this 4-hour fair value gap will be filled to form the Judas swing for the week, and then Tuesday takes out Monday's low, then we bounce to fill the weekly fair, the daily fair value gap. Okay, so something like this into the daily order block. Perhaps we might fill this 4-hour fair value gap as well, but let's see, we might. And then shift in market structure. How far up it will go into the daily fair value gap, I really don't know, but um, I think this looks good. This looks good. This is my expectation for for US 500, and then maybe we'll get a rejection from there. Okay, I think we might get a rejection from here. If we go to the weekly time frame, there is a good chance that we will form a weekly fair value gap. Okay, if we get a retracement this week and we don't get a complete fill of that fair value gap I showed you on the 4-hour time frame, then we'll form a weekly fair value gap, and then that would serve as the next draw on liquidity, maybe the upper week. But we are focusing on this week, right? So this is what I'm expecting for this week. I think that we will drop down into this fair value gap and then maybe tap into this, or maybe not. Okay, it might just fill this one and then bounce from there. Okay, but just my expectation is that Monday will form this low and then we'll sweep it, market structure shifts, and then we attack this fair value gap. Now, another scenario I have in mind is that price might just continue to the upside to fill this first and then bounce rejection. Okay, the second scenario is a bearish scenario. Okay, and the reason why I'm expecting that, like I explained initially, is because we are entering a new month, and normally the first week of that month used to set up the Judas swing for the month. Okay, so and I expect that November is going to be relatively bullish, relatively bullish. So if November is going to be relatively bullish. I would expect that the Judah swing to the ups, the Judah swing should be to the downside. Okay, so but let's see. But this is the first thing I'll be anticipating for the week. Okay. And then depending on Monday's price action, okay, if Monday ends up being bullish, then Tuesday will take out Monday's high and then will reject from there. Okay, but my expectation is that Monday will be bearish, Tuesday will take out Monday's low, and then we bounce from there to fill this daily fair value gap. It might not completely fill it, okay, but let's see. All right, I think that is that for this week. I'm also keeping an eye on EG. Um, it's really quite painful that we missed out on this move. I missed out on this move. I've been watching this for weeks. Um, Last week I was thinking that the one shot one kill would unfold for last week to come into this weekly fair value gap, but I didn't get it. I was watching this 4 hour fair value gap for short. I didn't get it as well. The following day on Tuesday, it rejected from this 4 hour fair value gap instead. Just didn't move into premium. Okay, so um I'll be looking to see if I can get frame a long setup this week or perhaps the upper week when this fair value gap, weekly fair value gap has been filled. I think we'll get a bounce from here um, to take out this trend line liquidity that is forming. Okay, so my expectation for EU is that we'll probably get something like this. Now, this might not happen this week. Okay, something like this. Okay. That is what I'll be expecting for EG. Okay, I think that is all. Should I review USD card? Nah. Okay, I don't really like USD card. The price action, I don't really like it. So, um, if you have questions, feel free to ask on the Telegram channel or in the comment section.